The bodies of Jesse Baird and Luke Davies have been found at Bungonia. There's a lot of misinformation that was going around about this case, and I want to clear that up right now. One of Jesse Baird's friends came out to say explicitly that he never dated this guy. He never dated the cop that unalived them both. His friend was very adamant about it. He said that Jesse would be very upset to know that it was being characterized this way because this guy, Beau, was a friend of Jesse's that pulled a lot of creepy shit on him. He caught him in his phone one day, removing contacts, blocking contacts. He messed with his Instagram. He was like losing all kinds of followers. He suspects that the guy had come into his home before and watched him while he slept and got into his phone. And from everything that I can tell, this guy is a real creep. He made an Instagram account that made them appear to be a couple that was not visible to Jesse, but his friends saw it and reached out and told him about it. He confided in one of his friends and he sent them a text because he was preparing to, let this guy Beau off easily because he had caught him doing a bunch of creepy things. And the text message goes like this: Beau, I feel hurt and I feel like I'm being lied to. This afternoon I gave you a chance to tell me the truth, and I don't think you did that. There have been many examples that have been brought to me since we met that show you've acted in a way that's completely inappropriate. I'm not going to stand for it anymore. I think it's best if we focus on ourselves and stop seeing each other. I have thought long and hard about this and know that it is the right decision for me. I would appreciate it if you could refrain from contacting me. So they're now telling us that at 9:50 a.m., gunshots were heard by the neighbors. And a 911 call, a 000 call came in from Jesse's phone, but it disconnected before it connected. So we know the night before they were out at like a pre-Mardi Gras celebration. So most likely they were like still in bed, hungover, and this guy just kind of walks into the house and shoots them. Later that night, Lamarre hires this white van and, they think that he hired this van to move the bodies, but like, why did he need to move the bodies? So the guy makes a partial admission to one of his friends telling him he might have killed 2 people. What? But this person was in the van driving with him and the bodies most likely were in the van too. This person went to Home Depot and they got an angle grinder, cut a padlock off, and then put a lock back on. The whole thing just seems bizarre. I think it's a woman, and so she's in the van with them. They drive up to this property. It has a padlock on the gate. They already went to Home Depot or wherever. Got an angle grinder and a new padlock. So he gets out, cuts the padlock off, I guess gets her out of the van, and so she's just standing on the side of the road or something. And then he's gone for 30 minutes, to get rid of the bodies, and then comes back and picks her up. And then they drive back to Sydney. But like, why was she even there? In what world would you be like, do whatever you have to do with that van and whatever's in the trunk, and I'll just stand here by the side of the road? It doesn't make any sense, but the authorities are saying this other person is definitely not involved. I don't get it. But it's coming out now that he might have been a male escort for women, so maybe this was one of his, that doesn't make sense either. None of it makes sense. Wednesday, February 21st, they find bloody clothing and personal items are found in a skip bin in Cronulla. And that's when they started being like, these people are missing, even though there was blood all over the house and, neighbors heard gunshots and whatever. The weird thing is he was like texting from Jesse's phone telling his roommates, oh, just get rid of my stuff. I'm moving out, so you'll never see me again. But like, wasn't there blood all over the apartment? So like, he's just casually saying, oh, ignore all that blood. I'm moving out. What? So they described a long-term acquaintance. Like, long-term acquaintance, there is not a long-term acquaintance in the world that I would just go on a random trip in some random-ass white van to some abandoned property, have them kick me out of the car for 30 minutes so they can go take the van into the property and do whatever, and I'm just supposed to be like, oh, this is what I do with my acquaintances. This makes no sense. They're calling her a long-term friend of the accused. We don't believe she was fully aware of what had taken place. We don't believe she was fully aware of what had taken place. So she was partially aware. What? And Jesse also expressed concern that this guy was going to interfere with his job. So I think he was being stalked and this guy was a cop and he was trying to like distance himself, and this is what happened. On Thursday at 4:30 a.m. he comes back, he goes to another acquaintance's house, doesn't tell that acquaintance anything, but asks to use his home so he can clean out the van. So he does all this work, but he rents a van that's seen everywhere. He involves an acquaintance that he partially admits that he killed 2 people to. He has all these witnesses placing him, cleaning out a van with a hose, stalking this guy, and he's a cop, so he just thought he was gonna get away with it. There's a lot of speculation whether he was whether he was an S worker because he had a lot of money, and people didn't understand where he got this money from. He said he was a blogger, a celebrity blogger, and that's where all the money came from.